and this is the Capital Farm Credit Wednesday night podcast, our weekly look at the area athletic scene, what happened last week, and what's going on this week. I'm here with my partner, Dan Youngblood, via Zoom, and tonight, Dan, we've got Wylie baseball coach Grant Martin as our guest.
Yeah, Coach Martin has his Bulldogs preparing for their third-round playoff opponent in Canyon Randall. This is the Region 1-5A quarterfinals. They're going to be heading out to Lubbock Thursday and Friday for that series. After beating El Paso Andress in one game last week in kind of a white knuckler, they won that one 3-2. So this is a special Wylie team. They've got a lot of seniors on this team, very senior-heavy group. This, I think, kind of the season they've been pointing to for a couple of years now, particularly after losing last year to COVID, as this is the year, and so far they're playing like it. So it's going to be fun to see how far they can extend this run. And I'm excited to talk to Coach Martin. He's a guy that has been there for at different times for a while. He was there an assistant out there for almost a decade before going to the Wichita Falls area to coach for about 7 years at a couple of high schools out there. And now he's back following his brother Clay Martin as their head coach. This is his second year as the head coach there. And he's done a great job. He's got this team playing very, very well, and it's going to be fun to see just kind of how far they can take this.
And before we get into that, we're going to thank our primary sponsor, Capital Farm Credit, with offices all over Texas, including Stanford and Abilene. Buy your own slice of Texas with Capital Farm Credit. Together, we're better. And Dan, just right back to Wylie, just briefly. One thing, you have to have pitching depth to get through the playoffs, and we'll delve into this more when Coach joins us. You have to have pitching depth to get a deep run of the playoffs unless you're winning coin flip after coin flip. And Wylie is certainly loaded in that department. They've got the depth for a deep run.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that basically lost. Walker Pylan's a kid who's talented enough to go to ACU, a Division I program, to pitch. So you're talking about a very talented kid, a kid who as a sophomore was one of their primary starters in the playoffs. He's a guy who got hurt this year, had some elbow issues. They lost Walker Pylan for much of this year to some elbow trouble, and have managed not only to survive that injury, but really thrive because they've had a couple other kind of co-aces in Dash Albus, a left-hander, real crafty lefty, and then Brooks Gay, a junior righty who's a very talented kid. So they've got two very good starters, three if it goes to that level. If Walker needs to start, he's still certainly got the capability, and they've got just a ton of depth in the bullpen. A lot of guys who would be starters for a lot of different teams have kind of been pushed to really spot roles out of their bullpen, and they never know when their numbers going to be called, but when they do, they've been very, very effective. This team has pitched very well this season, and I think it's really built well in the event that they have a series go to a third game. I think that would be an advantage for them. They've got a whole lot of depth, a lot of kids that are not only talented, but they're capable of going out there and delivering a really strong performance. So Coach Martin's definitely blessed in that regard.
And with that, it's time to jump into this week's baseball and softball pairing information, which are, of course, posted on our website. We'll start in Class 5A in baseball, and we'll touch more on this series in a bit with Coach Martin when he joins the show. But Wylie will be facing Canyon Randall. That series opens up Game 1, 11:30 a.m., and that's at Lubbock Cooper the entire series.
Yeah, starting Thursday. They finish it up Friday with Game 2 starting at 12:30. And this is a big series in that it is a series. I think that Wylie, after playing a one-game playoff last week and winning that against Andress, is excited to have the opportunity to play a best-of-3 series this week, and it should be fun to watch. This is a good Canyon Randall team, a team that's probably a little bit better than its 22-14-1 record might indicate. Wylie's obviously playing well, so it should be a really fun matchup with a lot of well-pitched games.
All right, dropping down to Class 4A. We lost Snyder. We had to say goodbye to the Snyder Tigers. They fell in a 2-game sweep to El Paso Riverside last week. Stephenville, however, did move on with a win over Decatur, a surprising sweep over Decatur. This is one of the better Stephenville ball clubs that we've seen in a number of years, and they will advance to face a very stout Graham team. That series is going to be in Weatherford. That's opening at 7 p.m. Thursday, Game 1.
Yeah, that should be a really fun series. These are two very good teams. And I got to see Stephenville in their bi-district series against Vernon. And you're right, this is a very talented Stephenville team. It's a team that goes pretty deep in its pitching, got a couple of really good starters, and they can really hit the ball. They can kind of pile up hits on you if you're not careful. So it'll be fun to see how they do against a very good Graham team in Weatherford. You mentioned Game 1, 7 p.m. Thursday. That series wraps up on Saturday, also in Weatherford, with Game 2 starting at 1. So it's going to be a fun one. I like this Stephenville team. It's a really kind of a really energetic team. And I think it's going to be an interesting series there to see if they can advance on to the region semifinals.
All right, now we're going to drop down to Class 3A, and we've been talking about how good Region 1 is for us at the Big Country in the Class 3A level all year long, and here we are. We're in the regional quarterfinals now, and we've still got 4 teams from the Big Country Preps circulation area still alive. Brock advanced with a win over Clyde. Wall advanced with a win over Holiday. Jim Ned advanced with a win over Bowie, and Early advanced by eliminating Ballinger. So we've got 4 teams still together, and one team, one series that I want to talk about. It's not even a series; it's a one-gamer. 7 p.m. Thursday night in Brock. It's Jim Ned against Early, and Early won the coin flip. They have gone for one game. And I'll tell you, now we've been talking about the great pitching depth that Jim Ned has, and they do. They're loaded for bear in that department with a ton of depth. But when you go with a one-gamer, it's a smart move for Early. They go to a one-gamer, and they negate that pitching depth advantage to a large extent that Jim Ned has. And they go with Wylie Hill on the mound, who's one of our better pitchers in the Big Country. And if he throws a good ball game, guess what? There's a lot of pressure on Jim Ned all of a sudden to get through that one ball game.
Yeah, I mean, and these two teams played during the tournament season before district play, and Early really gave them a good game. I think the final was about 7-4, but it was a very competitive game, and it impressed Coach Ryan Lewis enough that when he was on our podcast several weeks ago, he mentioned Early as kind of a dark horse in that region. So yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun to see how that one gamer plays out. And then on the other side, we've got Brock and Wall playing, which are 2 of kind of the region powers. So that's going to be fun as well. Wall came up with a really big win over an excellent Holiday team last week in the area round to earn this opportunity against Brock. Brock's been playing great baseball for a long time now. This should be a fun series. These 2 have had a lot of history, and this one should be a lot of fun.
Well, 2 years ago when Wall won a state championship, I believe Brock was the only one that handed them a loss in that season, if I'm not mistaken.
And I saw that game.
Yeah,
they did, and I was at that game. It was at over at ACU. So, these 2 teams have had a lot of important playoff games over the years, late round playoff games. This one comes in the 3rd round, this series, so it should be interesting. I think a lot of people in this region are kind of looking at Jim Ned and Brock as a couple of the favorites. But like you said, I wouldn't count out Early in a one-game situation, and I wouldn't count out Wall ever, just because that program has proven that it's capable of really performing this time of year.
And that series between Brock and Wall gets underway at 5 p.m. Thursday at Hardin-Simmons University. Again, Jim Ned and Early will get underway at 7 p.m. Thursday at Brock High School. And with that, we're going to drop down to Class 2A, Dan. And we've got 3 teams still alive in Class 2A. Albany will take on Holly, a surprising Holly team that is still alive in the quarterfinals with a 12-20 record. They've found the right formula late, and here we go. The Holly Bearcats are alive again late in the playoffs. That series will get underway at 1 p.m. Friday at Abilene High School. And then we got Anson facing a tough Hamilton ball club. I saw that crew face Fort Sam. They've got some good pitching, a little more pitching depth than your typical Class 2A ball club. So this should be interesting because we know Anson has some good pitching depth as well. That'll get underway at 5 p.m. Friday at Weatherford.
Yeah, and in all 3 of these cases, you have programs that are kind of accustomed to postseason success. Albany's obviously been so good lately. They had their state run a couple of years ago. Anson's been a really strong program under Coach Scotty Nichols. And Holly is the one that kind of nobody really expected to be here based on their record. But if you look in past years, Holly's had lots of runs where they were right here in this round giving people trouble. So I'm excited about that Holly Albany series. I got to see Albany against Ozona. This is another really good Lions team, but Holly's is obviously a scrappy bunch to have made it to this point. I'll be surprised if they can knock off Albany, but you can bet they're going to go into that series feeling like they've got a chance. And then Anson's got a tough Hamilton team that knocked out Forsan last week, but Anson's a really good program too. So this is going to be a lot of fun at the 2A level.
All right, and in Class 1A, we do have 2 ball clubs still alive, Dan, Westbrook, and what an athletic year overall for Westbrook. It's been a heck of a year. They have a lot of athleticism overall there. And they'll be taking on a tough Baird crew, and that's going to start at 4 p.m. on Thursday at Abilene Cooper.
Yeah, that's a Baird team that swept a really good Ira team last week. So I mean, that should be fun. And Westbrook, like you mentioned, had a really banner year in football, a banner year in boys basketball, and now they're really off to that type of start and have that opportunity in baseball. So it's going to be interesting to see if Westbrook can keep it going. But they are facing a tough Bear team that's playing their best baseball right now.
And with that, we're going to jump into area softball and our pairings for this week. We'll start at the Class 5A level. And Dan, we are looking at the best Abilene Cooper team that we've seen in more than 2 decades.
Yeah, I mean, Cooper's in the 4th round for the first time since 1996. So 25 years since they've been to this point, and they are absolutely mashing the softball. This is a team that had a really good offense all year long, and they've taken it to a new level in the playoffs, averaging 13 runs per game. And I think the really kind of impressive thing is that this Cooper team now is the flag bearer for Abilene softball, which had a great season. Abilene High made the 3rd round. Wylie made the 3rd round. Wylie went 3 games. Abilene High had late leads in both of their games that they lost. So a really good year for Abilene softball, and Cooper is the one team remaining. So a really special season for this Lady Cougars bunch, and they have the offense to keep this thing going. Any team that's going to beat them is going to have to score runs because this team has a ton of power up and down the lineup. Coach Stacey Herring told me this is the first team she's ever had where every starter in her lineup hit a home run in the postseason. Every starter in their lineup has hit a home run in this playoff season, which is just incredible. And it's going to be fun to see. Fun to see if they can keep it going this week against a very good Aledo team.
And that'll get underway at 5 p.m. Thursday in Stephenville, game 1 of that series, getting underway on Thursday. And with that, we're going to drop down to Class 4A. Dan, we had to say goodbye to the Sweetwater Lady Mustangs, an exciting ball club that had a great year. They fell in 3 games to Monahans. We also had to say goodbye to the Snyder Lady Tigers, who fell in 3 to Seminole. Those were 2 fun ball clubs, fun to watch, but they're going to have to wait till next year to see if they can go to Austin.
Yeah, scrappy bunches for sure. And we also lost all of the 3A teams we had remaining. Brock fell in 2 games to a really good Holiday squad. And then Cahoma was beaten in 3 by an excellent Jacksboro team. So both of those teams made strong showings. But again, we'll have to see. They're going to have to wait till next year to get back on the field.
All right. The good news for the big country, Dan, is in Class 2A, guess what? We are already at a point where we are guaranteed, the big country is guaranteed to send a team to Austin. We've got 4 teams in the semifinals, all in the big country preps circulation area. We have Forsan taking on Stanford. That will get underway at 5 p.m. Thursday at Abilene Wylie. And then we've got Colorado City taking on Anson. That gets underway at 5:30 p.m. Wednesday at Abilene Christian University.
Yeah, and these are going to be fun series. This Forsan team, they've kind of been right there ranked in the bottom of the top 10 most of the year, and they're a team that kind of slugs their way to wins. But I think last week was kind of a wake-up call for both of us in that they were able to sweep a Floydada team that had not lost a game going into that series. So I think this was the time. This is the Floydada team that was ranked number 2 in the final TGCA poll. So to go out there, beat them 11-3 in game 1. I think that kind of really opened my eyes that, hey, this Forsan team is one to take seriously. And I think that that's going to be a really intriguing matchup now against Stanford and Citlali Gutierrez. So you've got one of the area's top pitcher against one of the area's top offenses. 2 teams have had a ton of success all year. That's going to be a really fun series. And then the other one, you've got a surprising Anson team, one that's probably a little farther along at this stage, farther than probably most people expected them to get out of district, against the Sea City team that's kind of been one of those, we've known they're good, but I think we've kind of seen how good they are now.
All right, and now we're going to drop down to Class 1A, where we still have 1 team still alive, 1 team with a pulse. The Eula Lady Pirates are still alive. They head into the regional championship to face Borden County. Eula at 21-5, Borden County at 13-3. This is going to be an interesting 1-gamer, and it's going to be at 3 p.m. Saturday at ECU.
Yeah, and this is a Eula team that's played excellent softball all year long. You mentioned that record at 21-5. They run-ruled Menard twice in their region semifinal series. They're playing great softball against a Borden County team that's also playing really well. They took down a very good Hermley team 8-1 in their region semifinal in a 1-game playoff. So you've got 2 very good softball teams colliding, and it'll be fun to see what this Eula team can do against a really strong Borden County opponent. I think it's going to be a really good, not a series, it's 1 game, but it's going to be a really tightly contested game to see at this point who heads to state out of this region.
And with that, it's just about time to bring on Wylie head baseball coach Grant Martin. But before we do that, we want to thank our sponsors. First and foremost, Capital Farm Credit, who brings you these Wednesday night podcasts free of charge throughout the school year. Also, for the love of the game broadcasting, and our old friend Terry Slavens, owner of KLAX 93.5 FM out of Breckenridge, KATX 97.7 FM out of Eastland, AM 1330 Classic Country out of Graham, KWKQ 94.7 FM out of Graham, KROO 1430 AM out of Breck, and KWBY 98.5 FM out of Ranger. That is for the love of the game broadcasting. Also, Phil Hill of the Abilene Realtors Group, big supporter of local athletics. If you're in the market, give him a call at 325-669-5153 or go to his website at philhillproperties.com. And finally, Jack's Road Boring out of Snyder, dirt sales and services. With experience and service you can count on. Larry Green is the man to call out there. Give him a shout at 325-575-8004. That's Jack's Road Boring in Snyder. And with that, Dan, it is time to bring on Coach Martin.
Yeah, it looks like he's ready. Let's go ahead and get him on.
And joining us now via Zoom, Wylie head baseball coach Grant Martin. Coach, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it, y'all.
Coach, you're in the midst of an outstanding playoff run. Just please give us your thoughts on the overall performance of your ball club.
Yeah, this year has been, we start back at the beginning and kind of go back to last year. Guys, it's been a blessing that we've been able to get back out on the field. I think everybody would attest to that. The kids have been great in the preparation even before the season. And of course, as we've gone along, really and truly every day that we're out on the practice field or playing games is truly a blessing to us. So for those guys coming in this year, man, they've handled it great. We had to go through a few things, I know, in the fall, but things have kind of ironed themselves out to allow us to have a, as normal as can be season. And it's been really fun. It's been a great start to our season, and the kids have handled it great.
And Coach, your team's coming off a big win in a one-game playoff over El Paso Andress. Obviously, you had talked about how your team was kind of prepared for that situation, but still, that had to have been stressful. I guess just how stressful was it seeing your season come down to one game, and a game in which you were tied 2-2 about 4 innings in?
Yeah, I think going into that deal, it's kind of owe credit to our kids. I mean, when I told them we were going to play one game, I think everybody knew that, for us, we wanted to play a series, but for us to play one game, they didn't bat an eye. Nobody complained, nobody griped. And of course, as the game went on, and hats off to Andress, they were able to come back, tied up. I thought our kids did a great job of just being resilient in their approach. And I think our district has helped that as well. Playing tight games, I think has really allowed us to be better in those situations. And for us, I didn't think we panicked. And I thought we approached it at the beginning of the game, the preparation during the week. And then as we got into the game and as it went on, guys, we know it's in the playoffs. Every game is going to be contested. Nobody wants to go home. And our kids did an amazing job handling that and staying in the game, and then giving ourselves a chance in the end to of course win it.
Coach, tell us about this upcoming series with Canyon Randall and what it's going to take to get the Wylie Bulldogs through it and advance again.
Yeah, again, we talk to the kids that every week, there's fewer and fewer teams playing, and so you get to this point and everybody's in the same boat we are. Nobody wants to go home. They're a very talented team, a team that I really and truly believe right now is probably playing their best baseball. They present a challenge to us. But again, going back to that, anyone that we're facing now presents a challenge. We understand that. We really talked, over the course of the playoffs and throughout district is just approaching each game one at a time, making it more about us and what we can do and not about the other team. But of course, we've done a good job, I think, of compiling some data, putting together a scouting report for them. They're a very talented team. They're going to be different than any team we've played, I think, in the playoffs so far. So our kids, I think, are embracing the challenge. They understand we're going to be playing a good opponent, and they're excited and ready to go.
Coach, we talked about this, I guess, last week, but you're blessed with a very large and very strong group of senior leaders, some kids who have done some really special things for your program. How important has that group been to the success that this team is enjoying right now?
Yeah, guys, there's been a number of them that have played quite a few games, and again, I think their leadership, how many there are, and how many we have playing for us. If they're not in the game, they've been really, really supportive of what we're doing. They understand their role. But just to have that many seniors that have compiled and played that many games, I think offers you an opportunity as a coach to put total trust in them. I think that's something, there's things that we have to go over week to week, but there's things too that they're familiar with. Offers us a great opportunity to be prepared, but not have to go over things that maybe you would have to with a younger team. And so those guys have done a great job. They're really enjoying themselves, as you should during this time. But I think the constant thing, and it's a great combination, is they're having a blast, but yet they're working their tails off too. So for us and for what they've provided us, it's just unmatched. It really is.
Coach, tell us about how difficult it was to lose last season to COVID, and then tell us about when the guys arrived for that first day of practice, how hungry they were.
Yeah, last year we talked about that, and I hear this all the time is, I talk to different coaches and guys. Last year it was tough. Some teams had 12 seniors, some had 10. We had 3, and I don't look at that as being a situation where, if you had 1, it would be tough. But another thing to consider too is just the lost season for everybody. I think that sports, athletics offers you a great opportunity to bond. We missed out on that. And the thing that I look at that probably is so special is the practice time. Games are where you get to go play. They're fun, but we try to create a situation during practice where our kids are competing, but they're having a good time. So I know as a coach, I miss that the most. I miss being around them every day and going through those just every day, every week preparations. And we have a group of kids that love to get outside. They love to play the game. And for them coming into this year, and what we went through with football and through the fall, missing games, I really think that it matured everyone. I know it did me. I know for the kids that it kind of woke everyone up, and that every day is a blessing to us. And I think them coming out, being prepared, you talked about it, being hungry to play, I think was a huge component to what we're doing this year.
And Coach, you and I have talked about this as well. This is a team that hasn't shied away from high expectations. This is a team that came in with some really big, lofty goals, but they've done a good job, in my estimation, of kind of balancing those long-term goals with kind of near-term preparation, near-term focus. How have they been able to do that? Just kind of balance those two things and kind of keep that game-to-game approach while at the same time having some of those bigger goals down the road.
Yeah, and I think, guys, they've grown up around this program. That's a special thing, and it didn't start with me. And that's the great thing, I think, about being around here is that, I think they've got to grow up and be around kids that had a lot of success, and it's something they want to be a part of. And that's a great thing. As a coach, that, the ability for those guys to want to do something great, put their mark on the program, I think is a big deal. Just as far as the lofty expectations, guys, we wouldn't want it any other way. Somebody asked me about that and just how hard it is. Really and truly, and I'll be honest with you, it hasn't been an issue with us at all. It's something we embraced. It's something that certainly, I'm very, very blessed to be around these kids, not just for their talent, ability, and level, but more importantly, just how good the kids they are. But I think they understand. They're in a situation, again, we go back to them playing a lot of games where, it's great to have goals. They understand that, but the approach one game at a time is something we preach to them all the time. And that's something that they've handled very, very well.
Coach, unless a team is winning coin flips week after week, anybody that's still alive at this point has got above average pitching depth. And that is certainly the case with you guys. Can you talk about the pitching depth that you've been blessed with and the importance of it getting you to this point?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the biggest thing there is we've had some guys that, of course, have thrown more innings than some, but just the fact that our kids, a lot of kids that are called on at different times in the game, and they really don't know when they might enter, is huge. And the ability to go out there and us call your number, and you go out there and step on the mound and do us a good job, man, that just hats off to them. I mean, it's easy to know. I think a little bit easier, I should say, to prepare if you know you're going to get the start. But if you're called on, you've got to get loose quick. You've got to come into the game. That's, I would think, I mean, for me, that would be very, very tough. Our kids have handled it great. I mean, the depth that we have, we've had a lot of guys throw innings for us. Of course, Dash and Brooks have thrown the most, but we have some other guys too. Jackson Hanson, Dante Cano, Walker Pyland, and Grayson Bearden, Cooper Halbacci, did a great job in the Cooper game for us. We have other guys that have come in, Riley Hood, Reed Hughes have thrown. So you continue to go through that, and I'm probably leaving some guys out there, but guys that are not afraid if you call their name to go into the game. And that's a testament to them, but a true blessing to us. I know that. It's a nice problem to have. It certainly is.
Coach, you touched on this just a few minutes ago, but y'all were tested by a tough district. You look at Coronado, Cooper, and then even down some of the other teams, the Lubbock Monterey's, the Lubbock Highs, the Cooper still had guys that could test you in certain capacities. Just how much do you think that helped you get going into the postseason to be playing in a district where you were kind of tested on that day in and day out basis?
Sure, guys, and we have talked about this, but our district was very, very tough. I mean, you look at our last two games against Cooper, and the Kiefer kid and the Thompson kid threw great games against us, and hats off to them. But every team, it seemed like, had one or two guys that would step up there and compete. And I think, with us playing in a district that was that tough, Coach McIntyre and myself talked about it at the beginning of the year, was something that we were really looking forward to, because we really felt that we needed to play a good schedule, and of course, I think we did early in the season tournament wise, and then heading into district, it felt like you couldn't take a breath, whether it was Tuesday, Friday, whether you were playing the same team or whether you were switching it up. So, and our district was really, really tough. I think no doubt that it helped us. It's continuing to help us, just like I think in that close game against Andrus this past weekend. So it's something that really and truly, looking at it going forward, and it's something that has been a tremendous benefit for us.
Coach, can you talk about the overall strength of your region and what is left in the bracket? So, I mean, if you were to get past Randall, it's just, I mean, it's not going to get any easier, is it?
No, absolutely not. And, it's a deal where, again, you guys mentioned it earlier. At this point, there's a lot of teams that are at home. We're still playing. That's a great thing. But we understand that our approach, series by series is a situation where we're going to try to get ready to play who's ahead of us. You look at that, and there's some really, really talented teams that are out there. Some we've seen, some we haven't. But just looking at the names, the tradition behind a lot of those, it's an exciting deal to be a part of. It really is. It's something that's very, very competitive. And again, it's something that, it's kind of one game at a time, one series at a time, and we'll look at the next opponent when we get the chance to do that, hopefully.
Okay. And Coach, we're going to shift gears a little bit, talk a little bit about your career, which you've gotten to spend quite a bit of it at Wylie with your brother Clay, who's now obviously the head football coach, athletic director out there. Just to start with, how would you describe that relationship between the two of you all? Y'all been together for a long time in one capacity or another. Just what's that relationship and that dynamic like between you two?
Yeah, us two. I was here for 9 years before. So I had the opportunity to work with Clay on a daily basis. I was under Coach Sandifer. And so, man, those two guys have really, I think, made a huge impact on my life as a coach. I know, really, Clay and I, we get along, in everything that I've learned in this profession, when it comes from baseball is something that we've had numerous talks on. He's a great sounding board. He's always there, to be your biggest fan and to also shoot you. And so for us, we have a great working relationship. It's a deal where whether we're working in football or baseball, for both of us, I know it's very, very special to me, and I feel like it's the same thing for him. But again, I am so blessed to be in this position. What he did here for many, many years, the tradition that he started, that's something that I always look at and understand that, it's very important to me to keep that going. And so to be a part of it, to leave and to come back has been a tremendous blessing for our family. I know this has always been home to us, and we're really, really blessed to be back here. We really are.
And yeah, in between that time where you were the assistant and kind of helping your brother there, you were able to get some head coaching experience, obviously, in the Wichita Falls area, Burke Burnett, Vernon. How much do you think that kind of helped you prepare you for this coming back to Wylie now to follow your brother?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was an opportunity for me to go out and do what I wanted to do. It wasn't anything that we left here, any negative things. It was just an opportunity that presented itself. So, our time, Crystal and I, my wife and I, our times that we spent in Vernon 3 years and then 4 back in my hometown of Burke Burnett, made a tremendous impact, I think, on me as a coach. Worked for a lot of great people. And so, no doubt, I mean, getting an opportunity to go and do those things and then having this opportunity to come back here and be a part of this again, has been tremendously special, definitely.
Coach, we're going to make you king for a day, and we're going to give you the power to change anything you want about high school baseball. It could be a rule. It could be an aspect of the game. It could be anything. If you were king for a day and had that, push a button and make it happen, what would you change about high school baseball?
Oh, man, I tell you what, that's a good question. I think the biggest concern this year, I don't know if you guys have seen the armbands that some of the players are wearing. And so they won't allow them to wear them around their belts, okay, for safety reasons. So if they're not on their arm, they have to pull them out of their back pocket, okay, and look at them. And so for me, I don't know, I guess more of a traditionalist, it seems to slow the game down a little bit. I don't know if you guys have seen it or not. That's the first thing that comes to mind. But what a great game. What a great, institution the UIL presents us with an opportunity to make impacts in these kids' lives. And so there's not much that I could sit here and say I'd change, but that's one thing I've seen this year. I think that it's a little bit over the top when there's 1,000 numbers being called out and they got to pull it out of their back pocket every pitch. It seems to slow things down a little bit. So I wish there was a rule about that, maybe.
Okay. And you mentioned you're a traditionalist. This is one thing we ask all the baseball or softball coaches we get on, particularly baseball coaches, though. DH, yay or nay? Are you for or against the DH as a constant?
Absolutely for it. I'm an American League guy, so I am. Yeah, absolutely for it.
We're beat the DH.
No doubt.
The pitcher's batting.
Sorry, Evan.
Real averages. It's just like batting nothing. It's zero.
Yeah.
Haven't done one guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely for it.
Okay. Well, you and I agree on that. And I'll ask you one more. Just we've also had this
Okay.
kind of thrown out there, but when you look at kind of the direction that baseball's gone at the highest levels, Major League in particular, gone really far into the kind of the analytics where everything's based on numbers, a lot of 3 true outcomes with the strikeouts, the walks, the home runs. And it's kind of changed the game that probably a lot of us grew up watching. What are your thoughts kind of on the direction of that game? And is there anything you'd like to see changed as far as any of that?
Yeah, that's, it has changed a bunch. The one thing that I guess it's all based off of analytics, but it's strange to me to see how many teams are now going to the shift based off of, what stats they have, all of this. It seems to be, to me, where, I don't know, it's odd. I know it works, but to move people out of position, I mean, I know it's legal, but you didn't see much of that, what I'm saying, a long time ago. But I think it's all based off of stats and what they get guys to do. And I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
You wouldn't see the shift against guys like George Brett or Rod Carew.
No.
Anybody that could hit the ball where it's pitched and take it to the opposite field, you wouldn't see it.
Yeah, but
absolutely.
Here's my counterpoint. is you also won't see it against right-handed straight pull hitters either. So like we basically only ask left-handed pull hitters to beat the shift because you can't do it against righties because you have to cover first.
We're already helping lefties out enough by making pitchers stay in for a full inning for 3 batters, which basically takes left-handed specialists out of the game. I mean, come on.
Just hit the ball where they're not. That's what I say. But
yeah, Joey Gallo has trouble doing that, but there's some of those guys that it's harder for than others. But Coach, we appreciate you joining us today, and obviously we had a good time talking with you.
Yes, Coach, thank you very much.
Hey guys, we greatly appreciate it. We appreciate everything you do for us, and thank you so much for having me on today.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck to you. And that was Wylie head baseball coach Graham Martin. And Dan, this is a ball club that's equipped. We could see them make a deep run, but as tough as this region is, anything can happen.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, once you get to the third round at the Class 5A level, that's an accomplishment in itself. And really, to get past that, you've really got to play well. You've got to bring your A game every time out, and really catch some breaks and those sorts of things. But I think you're right. I think this Wylie team is equipped. They've got the talent certainly in that pitching staff to go deep into a series if they need to, and they've got enough punch throughout that lineup that if they can go out there and play well, they can definitely go another round or two, and it'll be fun to watch and see if they can. But I enjoyed getting Coach Martin on. He's a great guy. He's done a great job there. Kind of really fits in that mold that has been really the Wylie coach. I mean, they've had a lot of great coaches, a lot of great people over the years, and I think that Coach Grant Martin is certainly another one of those. So I was glad we were able to get him on today.
And with that, it's just about time to close the books on this week's Capital Farm Credit Wednesday night podcast. But before we do that, we want to remind you folks that we've got 3 separate subscription packages at Big Country Preps. We've got a monthly for $5 a month. We've got a 6-month semi-annual subscription where we knock that price down to $4 a month. And then we have an annual 12-month subscription where we knock that price down to $3 a month. 12 months, a full year of Big Country High School athletic coverage for $36.
And we'd also like to remind you that if you see a photo you like in any one of our galleries, it is available for just $7. You can click on that small shopping cart icon, follow the prompt, and purchase as many of those as you would like. But if you're scrolling around the site, you've probably noticed that we take a whole lot of photos from these games that we're out at. And it's something we enjoy doing. It's something we're very proud of here at BigCountryPreps.com.
All Big Country, all high school, all the time. Welcome home.